Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, once again joined by Zepsi. We both do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but we don't do these weekly updates in any official capacity. We're just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. Welcome, Zep.
How's it going, Brandon?
It's going okay. We've had some technical issues this morning, but I think we're in good shape now. I want to give the final note, of course, or the note that we always give. This is not financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. We're going to be getting into the HBAR market speculation. We're going to be getting into some Hedera DeFi. So again, entertainment or educational purposes only. The first thing that I wanted to get into is some institutional attention that's being put on the crypto space, but it's not negative. It's actually pretty positive. The first thing is a story about Goldman Sachs. This one's from the Daily Hodl, but it was covered by several different media outlets. They said financial giant Goldman Sachs is reportedly bargain hunting in the crypto space after the FTX collapse. According to a new Reuters report, Goldman Sachs plans to spend tens of millions of dollars on crypto investments or purchases. And according to their head of digital assets, Matthew McDermott, we do see some really interesting opportunities priced more sensibly. So I'm not sure if they are looking for cryptocurrencies themselves or businesses built on top of DLT, but either way, the Hedera ecosystem has both. So it's interesting to see what they're coming out with. All right, so the next story I have is even more to the point, and it's about BlackRock. So they are a giant investment firm. They have $10 to $13 trillion of assets under management, and their CEO, Larry Fink, said the next generation for markets will be tokenization of securities. They said this approach enables a different way to trade assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, or even alternative assets like land, wine, or art, allowing the transfers to be visible on a public ledger. So they said a public ledger here, Zep. So that was really interesting to me. He went on to say that tokenization will provide for instantaneous settlement and reduce fees. So, of course, with Toko, who is building on top of Hedera, they are a fully owned subsidiary of DLA Piper, which is, of course, one of the Hedera governing council members. And not only can you tokenize these assets, but it has the legal know-how to do it in a compliant way. And, of course, we also have Aberdeen out there, and they're saying that they're going to be tokenizing their funds starting next year. Now, they have a $500 billion under management. Of course, that's impressive, but it's not the same as BlackRock, which again has between $10 to $13 trillion of assets under management. Zep, did you catch any of these stories?
Yeah, I mean, a year and a bit ago when we launched the Hedera token service with this clear vision in mind that the world would be tokenized. Lehman did his video where he said, the future will be tokenized. He had that write up in NASDAQ, I think in February, again saying the future will be tokenized. He's been front running this idea for a long time. It's obviously been in the back of his head for a long time. And on Hedera, we have that native service completely dedicated to that single purpose. It's ABFT, it's carbon negative, 10,000 transactions per second, throttled, low fixed fees. It's, finality in 3 to 5 seconds. It's like, that to me is the best in class service for that function on a public ledger. And that is why we've seen ANZ Bank, the top 3 bank in Australia, tokenize their ASDC stablecoin. That's why we've seen DLA Pipe with Toko. That's why we see Avery Dennison with Atma.io. That's why we see Aberdeen joining the council. That's why we see Cosmium that we saw this week tokenizing on Hedera. Hedera is built for that particular purpose. You've got the consensus service, but the token service. And I believe that ledger, the Hedera ledger, is best in class for that. And we've seen now that these trillion-dollar firms also believe that the future is going to be tokenized. So I can really see that these big dogs will be looking towards Hedera, like Aberdeen just has, and like all the banks are that are on our council.
Yeah, and that dovetails really nicely into an interview I just did with the Digital Commodities Exchange. They've apparently been doing trades using Hedera Consensus service since August. But here's a quick clip to explain what they're doing.
So how we leverage Hedera in phase 1 is we're using HCS, or the consensus service. So in essence, what we do is from the moment a company registers, our registration of interest, company registration, where we're taking some PII documentation, all the way through from when the people are trading, countering the trades, chatting, and then when it goes onto the contract phase, we generate an internal hash. We then send that hash down to the consensus service, where we then get the transaction ID back, the timestamp, and the Hedera hash. And then we show that information on the UI to allow the users, the traders, to then verify what we have against what Hedera has, and then we link out often to mainnet as well. So we encourage the users to actually go explore mainnet to see what their transactions are saying. And as Stephen says, it's all about building that first level of trust with the users as they're moving off WhatsApp and Excel and DHL and God knows what else they use, but just to get them adopting the platform in the first instance.
So, Graham, from a tech perspective, what are your plans for the future? Do you see eventually tokenizing the assets and using smart contracts as we see with decentralized exchanges?
Yeah, very much so. So that's very much in our roadmap for the next 6 months. As we've sort of mentioned earlier, we're trying to digitalize the first 90% of the journey of what is a long contract, and then move on to the last 10%. And the vision that we have is that if you can imagine a trade, we'd like to tokenize that trade. And as then people book within the ecosystem, freight or the shipping or the insurance or the finance or the inspection, we actually add to that asset or that token through its life cycle, which can in essence be 3 to 6 months. And as we build up the attributes on that token, we will then have that available for the insurance companies and the finance companies to then allow for payment to happen automatically without documentation being sent through the post.
And since we launched the new platform underlined by Hedera in August, we've seen transaction volumes increasing roughly 100% a month. Remember, it's not just the transactions which are going through, but every time anybody makes a trade request, we will be generating a huge amount of data. All of that needs to be backed up by the Hedera network, and that's something which the users on our platform can rely on when they're seeing whether the person they're about to trade with is reliable, what sort of trades have they been doing, what sort of countries have they been working with. We basically build as full a picture as possible of the trading behavior of everybody on our platform.
So, I mean, with that many traders already working, you're pretty much past the proof of concept phase. You're pretty much a functioning exchange at this point.
Absolutely. When you see a $10 million trade go through, you know you're no longer at proof of concept. The news coming out of the crypto space has not had any impact at all on us. I think when we're talking to clients, they fully understand the difference between what we're doing with blockchain and maybe some of the more negative news that's come out.
Yeah, Zep. So like he said, this is beyond proof of concept. They're actually doing it. But I do think it's a proof of concept for all the larger exchanges out there. We mentioned that last week. I'm really impressed with what Digital Commodities Exchange is doing. And of course, they're just using the consensus service right now to add trust, but it's going to be moving to the next step. And just like we're talking about here with BlackRock and Aberdeen, they're going to be tokenizing the assets, and they're also going to have smart contracts integrated as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the most interesting things about DCX in particular is that it's the first, it takes one person to do it first for everyone else to realize that it's more than a proof of concept and that it works and to filter in. The reason why I think a lot of, Starbucks and Reddit and stuff have gone and, doing NFTs on Polygon is because they saw the first one worked. But we've got stuff, you look at something like Hedera, and you look at the utility that it can provide for tokenization, but beyond the world of NFTs, as in art side of it, into, the more, I don't want to, make perhaps utility for big scale enterprise. And from the start, we said, the Hedera Consensus service would be perfect for an exchange. Finally, we've got one. And, maybe this is the floodgates in the same way that, when Alex Russman, the head of the Metaverse Fund, he had to get in the first games onto Hedera to then get Lethals. As soon as a big entity can trust that someone is using it for a particular service and seeing that it works, then they feel confident, and then the floodgates open, and then they come in. And I can really see that happening with something like DCX Group. And I'm super excited. That's been a use case that we talked about for a long time, and it's finally here. And yeah, it just solidifies everything from BlackRock tokenization to the strength of the consensus service, the token service, and beyond. And hopefully we'll just see more and more of these kind of use cases coming on.
Yeah, I had been saying that in the interview itself. I said, we've been hoping for this use case for a long time, and all of a sudden it's here, and it's actually being built. Now all we have to do is scale it. So the next thing I wanted to get into is in micropayments. And you know that I love micropayments. I think that it has the potential to be the killer app for Hedera, and Drop seems to be taking the pole position in that. And we caught up with Sushil from Drop. He's the CEO, to talk about their new integration with WordPress. So listen in. Sushil, can you give us some information on the WordPress announcement this week and how users can utilize Drop on their websites?
Absolutely. So the entire purpose of this WordPress plugin was to make it really easy, right? As you know, in Drop, there's a lot of technology that's been packed in. We have Hedera Hashgraph, we have AWS services. It's a lot of very sophisticated technology. But how do you really make it easy for a non-technical person to use Drop was sort of our goal. That was the purpose behind this WordPress plugin. So it's really simple. Is you register with Drop. We have a merchant portal where you have to register with us, and we give you a merchant ID and we give you a signature that you need to use, which is really important for security reasons. And then you go back to the WordPress website and you can search for a Drop Pay plugin. And that Drop Pay plugin, once you get that, everything else is customization. So there's no writing of code. So you get this plugin, and it's really interesting, Brandon, because this plugin has two little widgets, right? So when I say no code is really no code, you write no code. And most of the podcasters, bloggers, they're not programmers. I mean, they know how to use WordPress, but they know how to customize for sure. So we kept it at that level. So you get to these two widgets, right? One of the widgets is like a donation box, right? Where people can donate $1, $2, and you can customize it. You can make it $100 if you want, right? So you customize that donation box. The other widget is like a like sign. We say that for every influencer, for any person in the creator economy, they have followers. And what if each of the follower, when they do a like, that like is a donation, right? So we made that possible. We always had this concept, but we made it possible. So we're really excited because between this donation widget and this like widget, you can fairly get about 90% of your donation scenarios or tipping scenarios in, right? I mean, the attractive part of the Drop offering is you can take donation as low as 1 cent. Now, I'm not suggesting you take 1 cent, but there is no microprocessor that can do that. So in this one, we enabled it. So what you do is you have this widget, you customize it, you can change the text, you can change the color on that. And then there are some couple of pages that you have to customize, like you want to say thank you when someone donates you. It really is, you type stuff, you change the fonts if you want, that sort of customization. And then you get this widget and you can put it anywhere on your website and you can start taking donation. And we really look forward to the feedback from the community on this. We could make it even simpler, but this is a good step in that direction of no code to write, just customize it and start using payments.
How about a mini paywall? So you have content behind a paywall. Is that a similar widget coming for that?
Thank you. So I want to tell you one thing. The tipping, this plugin, it's called Drop Pay. It's on WordPress. This is our first step. This really is not the end game. This is just a start. We just wanted to get a feel of how easy it is to customize it and how can we make it easier. But the next thing after this is how does a journalist, let's say you're a journalist, you have content, how do you enable payments and then restrict the access to that content? So if you have this video and you want to let people pay for it, but you don't want them to share it with someone else, so it's restricted content. So we're going to do a little bit more than what payment systems do, where we'll let you accept payments, and which you can do that even now. But then we also give you a way to restrict that access, because most bloggers and podcasters don't have the technology to restrict the access. So yes, that's the next step. That's the next big thing. And that'll be like a full-blown payment system where for content creators, which is what mostly WordPress is. There's a lot of content creators there. So thanks for asking that. That's a big one that's going to come out after this. But this is step
I'm looking
one.
forward to that. That's certainly the holy grail of micropayments, and I know you're working a lot in that space. So, what other enterprises are you going after? Certainly, with the way you're doing things with WordPress, YouTube makes sense. I know Elon Musk with Twitter is looking at payments as well. So, who are you targeting next?
So, broadly speaking, any content creator, like we were talking to a publisher, and is a pretty big publisher, and they said you basically have with Drop, you basically it's you figured out how to make the publishing world get back on its feet again, just using Drop. They said you might have something really major here. People can use it. So I know anyone who creates content and publish content can use us. I mean, and once we have the other plugin, you don't even have to be a technologist. Now, most big publishing websites do have a technology team, so they can use our product right now. Our goal right now is no code. Even a single journalist can publish it. So that's our aim. But any content creator can use us. We definitely want to talk to Wikipedia because imagine everyone making donations on Wikipedia using Drop. I mean, that would be like the most wonderful thing because everyone gets an email from Wikipedia saying, please donate $2, $5, and people do that. That would be now we're looking for ways to connect. We're trying to connect with them, YouTube, Twitter. I do want to thank the Hedera community though. I mean, it is including you, Brandon, who's really helped us push us towards talking to Twitter. We haven't made the connection yet, but please try. And if anyone has contact with Wikipedia, YouTube, we would love to talk to them. Benjamin, I'm not sure if you've seen the video from Benjamin on YouTube. We were really touched. Thanks, Benjamin, for that. We have Danny Eid, he absolutely pushing us toward that. And then Andrew Murdoch from Hedera. I don't know if you met him. They've been really helping us. So I'm really happy about the Hedera community. Every time we publish something about WordPress or Shopify, we do want to meet with all of them, YouTube, and there's a lot more content creators there. It could be applied anywhere. Any content creator could use it right away. But with the WordPress plugin, I just want to, it's really making it easy for a non-technologist to use it. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So I'm certainly up for facilitating you meeting the rest of the community. And there are a lot of people that are excited about WordPress. I also want to say thank you so much for the work that you're doing in this space. And thank you for giving us some time today.
Absolutely. So please, if you go to WordPress, look for Drop Pay. That's the WordPress plugin. We couldn't get Drop is there, but we made it unique by saying Drop Pay. And love to have feedback. I'm not saying even with this step, it's complete. But we can always improvise. We can always make it easier and easier. But this is like the first version of the plugin, and a lot more to come. A lot more to come in the NFT space. And you'll see it very soon. We'll be launching something in the next 2 weeks. So, thank you very much, Brandon.
All right, Zeb. This is really interesting because so many people use WordPress. Did you have any thoughts on this announcement?
Well, I mean, the scale of WordPress, like you just said, is massive. So WordPress accounts for 37% of all websites and 62% of all CMS. So that's content management system. So that's just a massive scale of users that could potentially be using Drop. And it's the same thing goes for Shopify, two massive scale applications that have integrated, experimenting with micropayments. They've got Drop in there. And I'm sure as soon as that first bit of traction starts coming through, in the same way we just spoke about DCX, when those first people start using micropayments, they see that it works, they talk to someone, they come in, same thing. And I really believe, like you said, that it could very much be a killer app on Hedera. And, it's so exciting to see that, the progress there, really. And the progress being two of the biggest companies in the world in terms of, service provision. So, there's no joke there. That's serious integration.
Yeah, so they have Shopify, they have WordPress. Of course, they're looking at Wikipedia, they're looking at Twitter, they're looking at YouTube. It just makes sense. I do want to say to anybody out there that does use WordPress, try out this widget. It's going to be good for you. You're going to be able to get tips and you're going to get payments. It's going to be good, of course, for Drop, highlighting what they can do. And it's going to be good for the Hedera ecosystem as a whole. All right, so the next one you're really going to get into because it's about two things you love, and that's football, soccer here in the US, and gaming, of course. And it's Own the Zone from Reality Plus. And I had thought that Algorand had pretty much locked up the FIFA stuff, but it looks like a Hedera game is being built on it. So let's listen to the Morten Rongard. He's the co-founder and CEO over there at Reality Plus to tell us about what they're doing. Morten, can you tell us about the Reality Plus collaboration with FIFA on a game?
Yes. So thank you, Brandon, and thank you for inviting me. Quickly, just to explain what we actually do with the FIFA, and particularly around the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. So what we do, we have basically a partnership with FIFA. So we're doing like an official licensed FIFA World free game where we are going to have live data from the match that it's going to be used to generate dynamic digital collectibles or NFTs. And all of this will be powered by the Hedera network. So that's kind of like really just like to the chase, what we're doing, right, with FIFA. But to go into a little bit deeper how the game would work is we are basically dividing the whole pitch, the whole football pitch up into 8 zones. And you as a user can choose different kind of actions that you believe will happen in each zone. And some zones are more likely like a yellow card to happen or a tackle or a score, of course. But it can also happen from other zones. And actually what we then do is that you as a user choose the different kind of zones that you want to basically put your trades or your actions in and decide. And then post the game, approximately 3 or 4 hours later, we actually get a very comprehensive data set straight from the match because we are integrated into the FIFA platform. So we get so much data, how the ball has actually rotated with the amount of speed. We can see where the goalkeeper is actually taking his shot. We can see throw-ins, we can see tackles, we can see everything. So what we're doing is then that we are accumulating basically that game data up against your actions and giving you a score. And that score will give you a leaderboard score. And where you are on the leaderboard with the real game data as a backup, basically like backed up, is where it will determine the rarity of your NFT. So suddenly you're getting something super cool because if, let's say, there's a goal being scored from kind of like, like a penalty, that's kind of like, it's not rare, but it happens quite often. But if somebody is scoring the goal from the center, that's a very rare kind of like where it happens. And that will give a higher score. And actually, we take all this kind of like scoring into accumulating into this high score. So it's a really cool way how to use real game data from the match where you will have a true collectible where the score is actually backed up with your actions that you've taken and backed up by the real game data coming from FIFA and this match, which is a unique collectible and a memorabilia.
So it's like a Web3 version of like a fantasy sports league.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Again, we have a 2.5-year contract with FIFA. We have this World Cup, well, a little bit late to the party in that sense that we're going to launch here in the quarterfinals, but it's FIFA is using this kind of game data brand new. This is the first time they're using it actually, also with the chip inside the football. So it's fairly new. So of course, we couldn't launch until now because we needed to make sure that FIFA also was happy with us saying that because they were collecting the data from the preliminary kind of like matches and groups and saying that, okay, it works, so now we can use it. So we have been kind of like on a standstill in that sense, but it is quite unique because when we actually kind of got started with this one, this is 3 weeks ago when we got the okay from FIFA that you guys can come in and create a Web3 game. So my team has done an amazing job finalizing the concept, tweaking it, making sure actually it was not gambling because we have a sweepstake part of it also where we give away prizes, which is so cool. And you're going to love this one because you're going to get 2 tickets after each match day to the best player FIFA awards. This is where, you can't buy these tickets. This is invite only, and you're going to sit in the same room like with Ronaldo, Messi, whoever is coming, all the big football stars, right? So an amazing price. And then Adidas vouchers and really trying to do something super cool with it. So I'm just, ecstatic, super tired because I've been on this for a month now and just working 24/7. So it's really nice to see the whole thing now coming together and we're going to be ready to launch on Friday on match day. So amazing.
Super exciting. That's awesome. So I was under the impression that Algorand had locked up the gaming license with FIFA. How did Reality Plus using Hedera nail down this agreement?
Yeah, so they have definitely made a partnership with Algorand. I don't know exactly the details around it, but we said from the beginning, if we're going to do this in time and basically also with the amount of work that we know is going to be put into it, we need to work with a partner that we know 100% the tech is working. We know they have the whole infrastructure, the backbone, that we don't need to question anything. I don't know Algorand good enough. I know they're very pushy. I know they're very progressive and try to get deals all over the place. But I chose Hedera because I know the infrastructure. I know also the sustainability, the carbon negative whole approach to it. So for me, it's a safe bet. And FIFA didn't have any kind of issues with it. So we are taking that and focusing on it and saying that, yes, maybe later on, we can always see if there's bridges and see how we can work. But I don't see any kind of problems with that, and neither does FIFA. So I'm just happy that they actually took that, because I, again, could prove what the whole sustainability, because, of course, that's everything or everybody's kind of main concern. But I know what Hedera is doing. So, yeah, no, I'm super happy for that.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly happy that you stuck with Hedera. Morten, thank you so much for coming here today, and good luck with your game.
Thank you very much. And this is, again, just the start, right? 2.5 years. The next big push is the World Cup in USA, where basically the Champions League winners are going to meet up. And then we have the Women's World Cup in Australia, New Zealand in June, July. So I'm just very happy, and keep on rocking it there.
Exciting for sure. Thank you again, Morten.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So, of course, Zep, this is breaking news. We just heard about this today. What are your thoughts about this new game?
I mean, it's massive. There's a part of me that feels very sorry for the Algorand user base, because FIFA is the jewel in their crown, or was the jewel in their crown. There was this. Well, originally it seemed like that they were going to have this massive partnership at FIFA. They're going to have this FIFA Reality Plus game, which was really cool. They had the NFTs of some of the best moments in World Cup history, which I thought was really cool. But there seemed to be this, at least a lot of people seem to think that there'd be this massive marketing partnership, that, Algorand would be everywhere over the World Cup. And that just hasn't come to fruition. And so there was a lot of speculation driven. The price of Algorand went up. People were saying that, it's going to moon at the cup or whatever. And that just hasn't happened. And instead, we hear today that Hedera, which is a pretty strong, I see Polygon and Algorand as two key competitors of Hedera.
Sure.
And it seems that we now also have this FIFA ecosystem, or are within the FIFA ecosystem. So Reality Plus, they're a partner with us already. We did announce the House of Cycling a while ago with them. Great team, serious Web3 gaming players. They've got, they've grinded this application out in heroic time. And, they've got us there. We're the underlying ledger with, Hedera NFTs, dynamic Hedera NFTs are being used for in-game data as it comes out of the FIFA matches. So each user gets a match card, and that match card is divided up into different segments. And you can sort of, I think, bet on what's going to happen in your part of the pitch, i.e. whether that's passing, goals, headers, red cards, yellow cards, whatever it is. And whoever gets the most right gets drawn into this daily giveaway of, I think, about £5,000. And there's these other experiences as well. But that is also, that match card is then turned into an NFT. And that NFT, I hope, will end up on markets like Zeus Market. More people will have their eyes on Hedera NFTs because of that. And I think to me, this just, again, it goes back to the thing that everything will be tokenized. Hedera Token Services there as that base layer. One of the biggest sporting event in the world, i.e. FIFA World Cup, has now got Hedera NFTs lodged in there. It's going to be on the ecosystem page if it's not even there already. And it's just massive. You can't really overstate it. It's come out of nowhere. We've got the quarterfinals that hopefully it's going to be here for. And, hopefully that's a lot of users coming in. They come into the website. That's an auto-generated wallet for them, removes all the friction. And hopefully, as I understand, there'll be more stuff after Qatar, looking into some other stuff in the future. So really excited that Hedera is the ledger of choice for Own the Zone. And they're also their own trademark company now. So, they're going to be persevering into all branches of sport, I'm sure.
Yeah, no question. That's pretty much what Martin was saying. Of course, quarterfinals this weekend, and it's going to be able to be used throughout the rest of the World Cup. So really exciting stuff. So let's stay with the gaming space. Can you tell us about the game Cosmium that announced this past week?
Yeah, so this is another one that I'm really excited about. I met Juan, who's one of the team members there, Spanish team. I met him at NFT London, and he was a really, really nice guy, really nice team. But beyond just being a nice team, they're a very good team. 6 years in development, serious, lifelong passionate gamers. They've had other games in the past from various members of the team that have all been successful. And the exciting part is, even beyond that, beyond that caliber, is that they were originally on Solana. So they've realized that Solana, for as much hype that surrounds it, it isn't necessarily going to be able to facilitate them in creating, a high quality game that 6 years of development really deserves. So they've come over to Hedera, leveraging the Hedera token service, for their in-game assets, their in-game NFTs, their in-game trading. They have their own fungible token on the token service, which is COS. So they're really using the full breadth of the Hedera token service. And for me, it's like, Justin Atwell from Swirls actually put out this really interesting LinkedIn post yesterday that just basically said that Hedera is best in class for facilitating tokenization within gaming. And, I read that and I thought, he said at the very beginning, it's amazing that mainstream gaming hasn't caught up with the utility yet, because there's so much there. And it's like, I was doing a bit of, back of the napkin calculations today. And so Fortnite, who are going on a bit of a tangent here, but Fortnite, who made their entire business model off of skins, so they didn't sell their game, they made it off of skins, i.e. in-game cosmetics, like what NFTs are, but none of them were owned by the centralized user base. They were just artwork within the game that you could use. In total, they've made $5.8 billion in 2021 alone from skins, which is unbelievable considering they never sold a physical copy of the game. And if they, using the Hedera native token service, decided to do 5%, royalties on that, and, as a very conservative estimate, each skin sold for half the price of what they paid initially, i.e., someone bought a skin for £14, sold it for £7. If they took 5% on the calculation that every skin afterwards would trade at half price, that's 145 million extra dollars revenue in 1 year. So that's just insane. It's a no-brainer. And for me, it's just like, it's a matter of time before they catch up. Lethos is pioneering it. The Sony PlayStation team, ex-Sony PlayStation team, and, Cosmium are now here, another AAA game. And I think, it's a matter of time before the studios really catch up. We've obviously got Ubisoft, and I'm just super excited for gaming on Hedera, definitely.
Yeah, so I've been overlaying an event that Cosmium did down in Antigua, and anybody who puts on an event like that, they're pretty serious in the space. All right, so real quick, I just wanted to go over Ledger Stacks. It's a new Ledger device, and some people noticed that somebody was showing it off on Twitter, and one of the icons on there was the HBAR, the Hedera symbol. So it was really fun to see that, and people were latching a hold of it throughout the Twitter space. All right, Zep, and also, how much I like Karate Combat, and they have their KC37 down in Orlando on December 17th. So I'm going to be going down there again. I'm sending myself down this time, but I'm also going to be meeting some other Hederians down there. If anybody wants to go to the event that lives down there in the Florida area, let me know. We'll try to get you some tickets for sure. But they're putting on a great event again. I'm not sure exactly when they're going to have their app out. Of course, there can be delays. They're going to be launching their token using HTS. They're going to be getting that into the exchanges. They're going to be getting it into our DeFi ecosystem. So, of course, Karate Combat is still moving forward, and they're putting on a great event this month, so we're looking forward to it. Hedera hired 2 new executives. So Betsabe is the chief financial officer and the treasurer, and she actually was selected as a top honoree at NASDAQ's Latina Disruptors event. And the other one is Nilmami. She is going to be the chief of staff and head of global policy for Hedera. She has 20 years of experience in international technology, energy, and democracy policy, and she actually came over from Meta, so she certainly has some good experience for the space. All right, Zep, I've gotten some concerns in some of the comments about Atmaio. People are concerned that it might not be coming. I have a couple clips that I want to go over. The first one is from Michael Colasari, and this was recorded just last week.
So I think the biggest new legislation on the horizon is probably the EU Green Deal and the Digital Product Passport Directive that's anticipated to come as part of that. That regulation is going to require every consumer-facing good to have some level of sustainability information provided to customers or to consumers. Our digital trigger technology, combined with this Atma.io data platform that we've invested in, will enable us to provide a complete physical and digital solution. That physical trigger on the product and then the digital information that we can send directly to a user's smartphone once they scan something. Right now, it's just a matter of understanding what information that directive will require. The solution is built, the architecture is there, and so we're actively involved with the EU working groups to make certain that we understand that and are prepared to help our brands address it. So we recently partnered with Hedera to evolve carbon offsetting into a whole new approach of carbon reduction, where we can use highly credible auditable tokens that will be placed on a distributed ledger technology to provide real-time supply chain traceability at the item level. And with that, that gives brands much more granular visibility into ensuring that that carbon offset that they're purchasing is actually a true reduction. And so I think that's another area that we're going to be helping the industry address their science-based targets as well.
So Zep, according to Michael, they're certainly still doing it. The partnership's still there. They're still coming. I think people in the crypto space, they're just used to a different pace, right? So they need to do their proper testing before they come to market. I also wanted to highlight something Rob Allen said in an interview that we did recently. So here, take a listen.
Well, I mean, we've all seen recently some pretty big numbers on HashScan. I think it went up to about 5,000 transactions a second, which is halfway to the throttle, right?
And sustained at like 600-700 for a while.
Didn't break a sweat, right? Really didn't break a sweat. So Avery Dennison, who are a government council member, have built the Atma platform, the Atma.io platform, to really utilize the scalability of the Hedera network. It's for me one of the perfect supply chain use cases. It couples the ability to do emissions tracking with the product provenance at a SKU level, so at an item level, and then scale it. And Max Winograd has been talking about billions of transactions, sort of billions of items per year being tracked on this platform. No other ledger can handle that. I think we've had a taste of what's to come. I can't talk to when it will come. It's stepped up and stepped down again. But once it starts stepping up, once the customers start getting on board. Remember that Avery Dennison has clients. They have big brand names that are associated with them. They need onboarding. They need to start ramping up the usage. But I think we've had a taste of things to come. And once it starts stepping, it won't stop.
So you're confident it is coming?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
All right, so Rob certainly didn't mince words. He knows that it's coming. It's going to be really important for the Hedera narrative when that headline number of transactions per second jumps up. We know what they are capable of doing, and I think that's going to be coming to the network soon. What are your thoughts on that one, Zep?
I mean, yeah, we know it's coming, and we hate the word soon, but we do know it's coming. It's like, I know it's like the biggest test of patience in the world, but like we sort of touched on last week, as soon as it comes, all that FUD, all that community nervousness can just go to bed, and we can all again be as bullish as we've always been with that behind us, knowing that we can process that throughput, but also there are players that notice that we have that value to facilitate that throughput and add the value into their business in doing so. And so that will be beyond proof of concept again that we touched on at the start. This is what we keep actually coming back to, is like, we've known for so long the ecosystem can facilitate it, or the technology can, and now these things are coming online, and the first movers are coming online on Hedera that are these big enterprises. And again, going back to that point, once we can prove ourselves and other Fortune 500 can see that we can facilitate this value and this throughput, then the floodgates open and people realize that we can really do it, and they realize that we're really secure, and realize that we've everything we said we have been, and we have that governance with us. So I really think we are on the edge of something that we've been hoping on for a long time. And, you know, the next few years, I think, is just going to be colossal for us. And we're just going to see more and more, you know, Aberdeen, and then who knows comes after that. You know, it's going to be amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think we need to understand that we're still sowing the seeds, right? We're still planting those seeds, and they're going to start to grow. They are starting to grow, but it's only going to accelerate in the weeks, months, and years to come. All right, so let's get into some network analysis. All right, Zep, so over the past 24 hours, transactions are down a fair amount. I believe that AdStacks doesn't have a campaign running right now, and I think that's why we've seen a pullback there. Smart contracts are still doing really good, so that's showing health in our DeFi ecosystem at about 21,000 transactions in the last 24 hours. Time to consensus is looking pretty good at about 4.5 seconds. And what do we have for account growth over the past week?
Oh, wow. So, yeah, in the last week, we're up 45%.
Oh, wow.
So that's exciting to see. And I'd like to think that, you know, with Own the Zone coming online / already online, we are going to be seeing a lot more of that in the next week. So yeah, fingers crossed there.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. So as far as fungible tokens, we have Energy Trade Token at the top, of course, because of their faucet. We have Wrapped HBAR, Sauce, USDC, HBAR Suite, all there in the top 10, showing, again, health in our DeFi ecosystem. And let's move on to our non-fungible tokens.
So we've got a lot of transactions coming out of HNT, and I'm not entirely sure who HNT is. So if someone can message us in the comments, that would be great. But of course, we've got Meta Wizards up there. We've got Pixel Drops, which I imagine is part of Pixel Land, former HBAR. We've got Meta Zombies there. We've obviously got the Earthlings pins there. We've got Web23 smart domains, Mingo. We've got Pengu Pals. We've got DSC again. I'm not sure who that is. So if someone could let me know, that'd be great. But yeah, so, you know, lots of different NFTs on there. But also we saw Kabila App, which is the Spanish NFT tooling ecosystem that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. They've done really well this week on Zeus Market. You know, they've been, Whitelist NFT has been doing very well there. We also had Hedera Dragons, who we touched on last week, or the Hedera card game. They launched their collection today. So yeah, super exciting in the NFT ecosystem at the moment. Lots of different drops going on. And we've actually got a Spaces tonight, a cross-chain Ethereum Spaces with the team at Orbis. So really excited to do that Spaces there. We've got a lot of different teams. We've got Dragons. We've got Hashpack. We've got, Gangster's Paradise. We've got a lot of people coming on. Koala Hash Club. So excited for this evening, definitely.
And I have to give a shout out to official Hedera Tees. Got this sweater from them.
Nice.
Of course, got to sport it. I'm going to be sporting it through the holidays. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is next Thursday, we have the Hedera NFT charity event that's put on by Hello Future Buzz with help from hgraph.io and Turtle Moon Launchpad. So we're going to be looking forward to that as well. I have a couple NFTs in there. We have the number 25 One Center and the HBAR Bull Airship. So we have that in there, but it's going to be all day. They're going to have all kinds of auctions. They're running a Dutch auction this year, so it should be fun to be part of that as well. All right, Zep had to run, but I'm going to go ahead and go over Hedera DeFi and some crypto and HBAR market commentary on my own. To start off, I'm going to talk about HSuite. They are going through a token sale right now. I think it's going on into Q1. They're going to have a really exciting DEX that should be super efficient because they're using smart nodes instead of smart contracts. The total supply of HSuite token is 50 billion. They are selling 6 billion. The price is listed at 0.00579 HBAR right now, which means you get about 175 HSuite for each HBAR, and I think about 36 or 700 per dollar. You can go to hsuite.finance, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a join presale, and that's how you get to it. Of course, none of this is financial advice like we mentioned earlier, but I do think I'm going to be dipping a toe in and buying some in this round. Moving on to Saucer Swap, right now they have a total value locked of $21.8 million. So that's come up significantly. I'm not sure if that's because they have an inflow of cash, if it's because they've listed new assets, but we haven't had a significant change in the market prices over the last week. So either way, that's good to see. Moving on to farming rewards APRs, HBAR USDC is sitting at 67%, HBAR Sauce is sitting at about 50%, and HBAR X is sitting at just over 20%. Now, of course, there's plenty of risk when you get involved with DeFi, one of them being the risk of impermanent loss, but you do get to compound both your farming rewards and your LP rewards. So the LP rewards you're getting on top of your farming rewards right now are 0.6% for HBAR X HBAR, 2.5% for Sauce HBAR, and down from last week, but still impressive, the USDC HBAR is getting 21%. Moving on to HelloSwap, they also had an increase as far as their total value locked, sitting at just over $6 million. And though their liquidity rewards are a little bit harder to find than on SaucerSwap, their farming rewards are looking pretty good as well. USDC HBAR is at 70%, HBAR X is at 19.7%, so a little bit less than SaucerSwap, but they pay it purely in HBAR, where SaucerSwap, it's a combination of the market price for the HBAR they're putting out and their native token Sauce. MantraDAO's native token is looking good as well. USDC ohm is at 155%, and HBAR ohm is sitting at 114%. And moving on to Stater, they have a total value locked of 1.342 billion HBAR, so that's pretty much unchanged over the past month, I think. APY is still sitting just under 10%, and the HBAR X and the HBAR X exchange rate is sitting at 1.2037. I do want to give a shout out to Stater Marketing. They have been doing an absolutely fantastic job. Not only do they highlight their products, but they also highlight the entire Hedera ecosystem. They always have great graphics and great insights into what's going on in the space. And moving on to the crypto and HBAR market, Bitcoin is down about 0.5% over the past 24 hours and up about 0.5% over the past 7 days. HBAR is sitting at about 4.8 cents, is flat over the past 24 hours and down about 1.5% over the past week. Now, as one of the main competitors, I often do look at Algorand. As Zep mentioned, they've been under pressure a little bit recently. They were trading based off of total volume. They were trading at a premium to Hedera, which was out of the norm, and that might have had to do with some of the FIFA stuff. But HBAR, again, is trading at a premium, again, on that total supply to Algo. Looking at the charts, we're still in that same trading range that we have been, with support down around 4.3 cents and some resistance up around 5.1 cents. From a macro standpoint, we have some big stuff going on next week. Next Tuesday, the CPI, U.S. inflation, is going to come out. That's December 13th. And then the following day, the rate decision by the Fed, the U.S. Central Bank, is going to come out. If inflation comes out fairly cool, I think that decision could be beneficial. I think the consensus is a 0.5% rise. So if it's anything less than that, risk assets are going to rally. If it is a 0.5%, it might be flat to a little bit down. And if they do another 0.75% raise, which I'm not expecting, you can expect risk assets to take a pretty big hit. And of course, that includes crypto and HBAR. All right, that's all we have. Next week is going to be a busy one. We have a timely Twitter space next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern on crypto regulation with crypto attorneys and other experts in the space. Hedera has their ecosystem week, which is going to be jam-packed with content, and just in time, they have their ecosystem page, which has all kinds of resources and use cases that are being built on Hedera. I'm doing an interview with Mance and Shane next Wednesday, and as mentioned, there's that NFT charity event put on by Hello Future Buzz next Thursday with tech support supplied by patches from hgraph.io and Turtle Moon Launchpad. When watching the World Cup this weekend, don't forget to play Own the Zone from Reality Plus. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.